Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Mayor Vader, I officially am pleased to welcome all of you present, as well as our council members. And given that we obviously have a quorum, I will call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. on this, the 23rd of March, 2017. We'll proceed now with our roll call from our city clerk.
Andy Wilson.
Present.
Jason Daly.
Here.
Joe Shive.
Present.
Mike Parsons.
Here.
And Mayor Smith.
Also present. With that, we'll proceed with our Pledge of Allegiance, and would invite all to please rise. Mr. Wilson, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we'll proceed with the mayor's report. I have three items printed on the official agenda, but have added three others to it. First, I felt like it would be appropriate to update the council on the latest developments with the Brandon Milton property, Absolute German. He's been working closely with county officials, focusing primarily. Thank you. Yes, appreciate it. Can you hear me? Is this better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Working most closely with Lewis County water officials because of the challenge that he's had of getting the water turned on. And at this moment in time, and we've been working, of course, with our city engineer, who's building official, who's been trying to cooperate and help them get off the dime. We're supporting his efforts now. But right now, it appears that his next, perhaps his last requirement is he's going to have to start from scratch to reapply to get the appropriate inspections done to complete the permits. And that's a result of working with the county officials. And so it's I'm glossing over it and not providing a whole lot of specific detail, but when he accomplishes that, then he'll bring everything into compliance. And after that, there shouldn't be anything else standing in his way to turn the water on and start his operations. I don't know the time frame that he's going to be able to accomplish that, though, but that's where he's at. Number two, I wanted to share information with the council with regard to our property maintenance code enforcement ordinances, which you're aware of. We have, contrary to some commentary circulating throughout the community, making some progress. I'm gratified to see that that progress is being made. We had one modular manufactured home that was on the WAPO property was been removed entirely. Noted that, I'm sure. We've been working closely with one property owner on 10th Street who is making valiant efforts to remove the hazardous trailer and camper and other debris around the one house, which is positive. And there have been many people concerned about the property on the north side of town on 5th Street. I'll decline to provide the exact address, but we can provide it later if you'd like. And the property owner, after several months of just ignoring our enforcement efforts, finally relented and is beginning to clean up that property and has vacated the occupants of it. So much to the pleasure and of the neighbors around it. And so I just wanted to share those positives. The ordinances that the council and that have approved and that we're implementing, it's slow and it's painful, but it's working. So I want you to know that. So if somebody asks you if the city's doing something about these abandoned houses, for heaven's sakes, don't tell them the council's doing nothing. The fact is, we're into aggressive, serious code enforcement efforts. So that's important.
What about the old Beagle's house over here? Anything happened to that? The roof was really caved in here.
Is that the burned out house down here in the corner? No, we've had to start over again because that was the ordinance that you modified. And then now we've got a daily fine that's occurring. So we're at square one with them, but we knew that was what was going to happen because they're ignoring us altogether. And that is and always has been, the number one target. So, but stay tuned because just like the most recent incident, once they discovered that they were getting a $500 a day accruing penalty for non-compliance, that adds up quickly, and it's a price that gets their attention. So that's the latest on that. And clarify if I've missed any.
I think you're right on.
Okay. Another talking point I felt like we needed to address, given the action that's on the agenda tonight, is that there are 4 positions on the city council, positions 1, 2, 3, and 4 that
And now 5. They're all 5 council positions.
Wow. Now that's, I would guess, somewhat historic. I don't know if I've ever heard such a thing before. So I guess, number 5. I'll be darned. The mayor's the only one that doesn't have to worry about such things.
Tell them what you're talking about. I don't think the public knows what you're saying.
Oh.
You didn't
Not
finish your
mine.
sentence. I interrupted you.
Sorry. Council members serve on a 4-year cycle terms, and if there's a vacancy that occurs, then the individual who is selected from within the community to fill that vacancy needs to run for that office at the next nearest election cycle. Ruth Creer submitted a resignation, as you know, a month or so ago. So the individual who hopefully will be selected by the council this evening will need to run for that position at the end of this year. And the other members of the council, 3 are, I believe, are at the end of a 4-year cycle. Jason, you ran, and
No, Jason didn't run, but the position he was in was in that.
The vacancy. So
there are 3 positions that are up for their normal 4-year cycle, and then the other 2 are up for a 2-year cycle.
Yeah, the unexpired. That's what it says. It's not all that clear in this form.
I have a question.
I gave council and you a different information packet that had a little bit clearer, I think, explanation of it.
These ones that say 2-year, are they, the next time they come around in 2 years after that, will they then be a 4-year, or will they
Yes.
remain 2-year?
Yes,
They'll be
back
4-year.
to their 4-year again.
Okay.
If somebody quits before their 4 years are up, then that position is required to go up for election at the next regularly scheduled election. And you guys appoint somebody to fill it until the next regularly scheduled election, which is every 2 years. So at this point, the 2 that have been vacated have 2-year terms, and at the end of that 2-year terms, the election will be for 4 years. So the mayor and 2 council members go every 4 years, and then 2 years after that, 3 council members have their 4-year term. I know it's kind of confusing, but
Yeah.
basically, as soon as there's a regularly scheduled election, which is every 2 years, if the seat has been appointed, then that person has to run and give the public opportunity to choose. So there's 2 positions that are like that right now.
And most people aren't aware that city elections take place only in odd years. And other state and county elections are even years. So we're in 2017, that's the odd year cycle.
But there's only 1 week in which to get yourself signed up
Exactly, that
for,
was my point.
for the election.
It says for the 2017 filing period, candidates may file by mail beginning May 1st. So May 1st is your first opportunity, and in person from 8 a.m. Monday, May 15th through 4:30 p.m. Friday, May 19th. Online candidate filing begins on Monday, May 15th at 9 a.m. It's written on your form.
Yes, yeah.
But I know there was some question about that, so I hope that
And if you're still confused, come talk to me and we'll see if we can't get your question figured out.
so that having been said, now I have felt that it would be appropriate to talk about the comprehensive plan amendment progress. Gary Cooper, our city planner, is making progress on it. And you may have gotten a copy of the product that he...
No, I
Not
didn't.
yet?
No.
Okay.
My phone doesn't work here. Normally.
Yeah, he's provided to us a rough draft, and obviously we have until the end of 2018, I believe, was the arrangement made, and it will cost quite a bit of money for that, but we did successfully apply for and qualify for some grant funding in the amount of $5,000, or maybe just a little bit below
It's
that.
5,000.
It is right on.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Yep, and so that was something of a windfall. We didn't anticipate that, so that's a positive bit of news there for us. And if any of you want to know exactly how that happened, feel free to talk to me after the meeting without going into any more details. But in conjunction with that comprehensive plan amendment package, the park board needs to revise its
Planning.
portion. What did
Oh,
I
I'm
say?
sorry.
No, yeah, it's
I'm
park
sorry.
board. Park board needs to modify the previous section within that comprehensive plan. And the park board met last week, and they initiated that process. I want the council to know that I'm working with a member of that board who's volunteered to, with the input from the park board members last Saturday, is entertaining an effort to massage and modify it to bring it up to current date and the conditions. And so I've done the same thing, and I'm working with that park board member. And before it gets submitted, it's going to be brought to the council's attention. But I think it's important for you to know that considerable work is going into that activity. So I'm pleased with the efforts of the park board. Let's see. So
You were going to mention that the planning committee is highly involved with the comprehensive plan, and that
yes,
they will
thank you. Yep, their meeting is in the near future. Gary Cooper is going to be assisting the planning committee in that process. So it's definitely a group effort. But is being spearheaded by Gary Cooper. So I think we're getting our money's worth from it.
Is that the 5-year plan that we've been waiting for from the park board?
Yes,
Yes.
more or less,
Right.
yeah.
But I wouldn't call it a 5-year plan.
No, it's not a 5-year, that was just,
It's more
Right.
a vision statement.
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Once they get that portion of it done, then they will move into actual breaking it down into steps and saying, okay, how are we gonna make these goals happen? And that's more like a more detailed step.
Yeah. Okay. Another talking point was update on park board actions. The park board, as I indicated, met last week. They discussed a number of topics. probably one of the first topics that ought to be brought to your attention involves the application, which is why May Einer's here. We welcome you as a representative of Country Cruisers. And the park board was invited to weigh in on the application that had been successfully submitted and processed through City Hall. And so it's appropriate for the park board to act on that application. And one of the talking points was, there are two elements of it, I think. There was some concern about the fee that was being placed on that event. It was $100, and so the park board was asked to consider whether or not they'd be willing to waive or reduce that fee. And the board decided that they would present that proposal to the city council at tonight's meeting. And so the representative of the board couldn't be here tonight, neither the chairman or the deputy chairman. So I'm presenting that at this moment for council's potential placement on the agenda as a talking point. But I think it's important to discern that and another issue that was related was the length and the complexity of the city's current application form. So two issues at hand, but one probably is only requires deliberation. Although, but as I've thought about it and taken it under advisement, looking at our previous approvals of that activity in their application form, I think it's important to note that that particular event, according to our guidelines of use of the parks, is already reduced. Normally, the fee for such an event as is articulated in the guidelines for the use of the park would be a $500 fee, given the number of individuals and vehicles. So it wasn't brought up at the park board meeting, but as it's been given consideration, I think the council ought to take that into consideration if you want to decide to put it on the agenda for discussion. And the guidelines specifically state that the fees for such events shall not be waived for any reason. That wasn't brought up at the meeting with the park board. So I felt I should bring that to your attention so that when it comes time to approving the official agenda, you can decide as a council whether you feel it's something you'd like to discuss as a council.
Well, I think we're getting down to the wire on their application needing to be.
Their application is already approved,
It's been approved. Yeah.
and they have it,
I've had it in for like 6-8 weeks.
Sure.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it
Yeah, but hold
has been
on.
over
Yeah.
6 weeks.
Excuse me,
Okay.
May, no, this
But-
isn't a time for delivery.
Well,
You'll have an opportunity.
She's not
to-
telling the truth.
Well, we'll have an opportunity to discuss that. But,
You're right, it was in February 14th.
see, okay.
Yep.
But, so I know that it's a sensitive topic. We go through this, it seems like every year. There are always, but the council has deliberated carefully on it. I think if the guidelines that have been approved by the previous council members, and this was approved on April 19th, 2011, have been discussed repeatedly over the years. So, but now might not be the time to discuss it. I think when it comes time to approving the agenda, it's not a matter of it not being approved. The council could confirm that action if you so chose.
May I ask again, what is the council being asked to do as far as the Country Cruisers application?
Yeah, the park board, through a motion, decided to submit the question for the council to consider reducing or eliminating the $100 fee. And
So that's up. That's what's up. Okay.
during the course of that meeting, though, I wasn't savvy enough to, on the top of my head, recall that there's a specific line, the first line in the fee structure for the use of the parks is the fee shall not be waived for any reason. And that an event of that sort would normally cost $500, so the $100 fee which was charged last year was already reflects a reduction in it. So it's catch-22.
So we'll add that to the agenda then. When we
You
Yeah,
can
if
or you
so.
don't have to. It's up to
Exactly.
you. You
That's
can
the
either
point.
leave it and not act and leave it as it is. It's approved right now with the $100
Right.
and it'll move forward like that. Or if you guys want to take the time to discuss it again, you can add it to the agenda.
There.
do we need to talk about it?
It's approved.
It's approved.
Yeah, it's already-
All right.
It's been approved.
All right. So it's not on the agenda then.
Well, when we get to the agenda approval section, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so last item, believe it or not, here's so long-winded news. Oh my goodness. Last meeting, we noted that there's a movement within the community to have a big meeting, like the Vision Vader thing that the Vision Toledo group has been doing. And it was noted that that event had been tentatively scheduled for April 23rd. Well, it appears now that if you read in yesterday's Vader News article, it needs to be backed up to May 20th. So, for a variety of reasons, I understand.
Now, is that the meeting that was gonna be with the church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, Pastor Durham has approved of a revised date. I noted that the time in the paper was 10:30, and it's actually 10 o'clock now. So that's what, just to share that with the public here. It's not a city-sponsored event. There, I think that covers the mayor's talking points. Now let's proceed with the council report. Any thoughts or comments that the council members would like to share? You know,
Were you going
I didn't hear anything. I've got to finish one more thing.
Okay.
Because in our last meeting, we talked about the vandalism, that the latest episode, the broken plexiglass. We were going to look at the video footage that has finally been done. And there's no, they're not able to definitively identify specific individuals engaged in it because the footage 60 feet from the building gets blurred. So all you see are shadowy, but on a specific day there were half a dozen or so young men just roughhousing under the pavilion, hanging for the rafters and doing the monkey things up in it. But you can't specifically see action. So, but there were some elements of the video footage that might enable some investigation to take place. So we're in the process of working with the Sheriff's Department to see if they can extract something, but I won't share particulars. I can do it after the meeting, perhaps. But so that's where we're at on that. Okay. No. So you're going to say?
I just wanted to bring up, I know that Judy came a couple weeks ago and was talking about the buildings being boarded up and how ugly they are and what can we do about those. I started doing some research and then brought it to Jill's attention, and Jill, we have found out that it's a year. 1 year after being boarded up, they either have to make it habitable or take it down or tear it down. So just the boarded up buildings isn't going to stay forever. It's a temporary fix to keep them secured. So that's already in the ordinance. So
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yep.
Yeah, that, I was not aware of that myself, so I appreciate the research and the insight that affords us. So I think I speak for all of us, and we're just as disgusted with the boarded up look of these buildings as everybody else is in the community. Thank you for that research. Okay, well, if there are no other council reports, then let's now address the agenda approval for tonight's meeting. I have no other changes to make unless the council would like to add that particular part application topic. And if I don't hear any modification, then there's no action required. Okay, then I'd await council action in the form of a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Okay, Mr. Shias has submitted a motion to approve the tonight's agenda as written. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion is carried. Now the approval of the City Council meeting minutes for March 9th, 2017.
I'll approve the city council minutes from March 9th, 2017.
Okay, Mr. Daly has submitted a motion approving those minutes as written. We have a second, seconded by Mr. Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion is carried. Now we're with regard to voucher approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for the end of March 2017, the amount of $2,472.20 for a total for March of 2017, in the amount of $39,134.19.
Okay. Mr. Shias has submitted the motion to approve the expenditures and the amounts noted. Do we have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion is carried.
If I can make a plea to make sure you guys get in there and sign the form for me, because I have to have at least 3 signatures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't leave without putting ink on paper. Okay. Now we're down to special reports. I'm not aware of any special report scheduled for tonight's agenda. So let's proceed with public comment.
We have May Heiner of the Country Cruisers signed up.
Okay.
Since it's already on the agenda, I'll just wait.
It's
But
not on the
not
agenda.
I thought you said you were adding it to the agenda.
No, the council opted not to add it to the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So therefore, you're not talking about it.
Correct.
So it's already
That's
approved.
it. Yeah, it's been
It's been approved by the park board.
It was
so
already approved for how much money?
$100.
Oh, okay.
They're just saying they don't want to make any changes to it. They'll just leave it as it
Okay.
is.
Okay, first off, I guess I'm confused because on the park board form that we put that there would probably be 100 people, which is $100, not $500. And if it rains, we're lucky if we get 20 people. So we're not really asking for anything. I never asked for anything. And then I already got this paperwork that was already approved for $100. So you guys approved nothing?
They didn't need to. The
Yeah.
park board already did.
I was told that it had to come to the council for it to be approved.
If it was deliberate, if they needed to engage in a modification of the fee that had been approved, and they opted not to.
They opted not to tonight,
Yes.
but I already had the paperwork that it was already approved.
For $100.
Okay, the park board approved the document as it was originally written, which was with the $100. But they left the door open So for council to have the option to address that $100 and make it different if they wanted to.
Yeah, to lower it or remove it.
Right, so council, so the approval stands, however, if council had opted tonight and said, yeah, we want to talk about lowering it, then we would have made an amendment to that document. But they have chosen not to, so the document stands as it is.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And recalling that the park fee, the fees shall not be waived for any reason. So, and they,
But we weren't asking to have it.
Right.
Right, the park board is the one that said, I listened to the recording and so I understand, but we had to give council the option to discuss it because the park board had requested that. So we gave council the option and the council says we don't want to make any changes, so everything stands as is.
I just didn't understand why you got paperwork before the council voted on it or talked about it, or that was just confusing to me.
Sorry.
yeah.
We're square now? We're good to go?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Make sure everyone's got what they need.
Yeah, that's good. All right, well then, let's proceed now, if there are no other members signed up for public comment, with the official agenda items. Item number 1, council this evening, hopefully, will again attempt to consider the vacancy for city council position number 5. That was created by the resignation of Ruth Creer. And so I would open it up for nominations.
How many letters?
Oh, yes, I can tell you that we've got 4 individuals expressed interest in, or for consideration to that vacancy.
Did they send in letters,
Uh,
requests?
One sent in a letter, yeah. That person's name is Bob Goff. And the others have indicated interest through association with members of the council, which is a standard practice. Letters are not required, of course. But now would be an appropriate time to open the council deliberation with nominations, if anybody is inclined to submit.
Well, I don't know all 4 that have put their names in. I know Bob Goff, Leona, Bob, Todd,
Brianna Henson, who was a member of the park board, indicated interest in it as well. And she actually told me that she was going to be here, but obviously didn't make it. So you have Bob Goff, we had Bob Todd, Leona Hunter, and Brianna Hanson were the 4 individuals who expressed interest. But if the council were aware of other individuals,
I know.
you can
I personally
nominate.
know Bob Goff's been very, very vocal at many council meetings in the past. Lived in the center of town for many years now. I think 6 years now. So I expressed his interest in helping us through this time. Leona Hunter, I think she's a fantastic candidate. Also, moving into her parents' house in the center of town. Both very educated. Bob, Todd, very decorated individual. I think we got our hands full. We got some. I don't know, Brianna. We have some very, very good candidates.
I agree.
And you have some of them here, so you're welcome to ask them questions, or
Yeah, you
if
certainly
you
are.
want to hear from them and say, why do you want to be, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Although we need to be cautious here because if you engage in some detailed discussion regarding the qualifications of them, that should most appropriately be done in an executive session. If there are topics, yeah, it is. Mhm. Yeah, I specifically researched it.
Well,
So,
for many years, Mr. Mayor, it used to be the policy that the people wanted to run for office with us,
you know,
send a letter in, and Napavine and Winhoff are having legal problems right now themselves. But that's,
yeah, there's no statutory requirement that that be in effect unless the city has specifically mandated it. And it may have been many, many years ago, but I've been the mayor now of my third term, and that's never been a requisite. It's not an official policy for the city of Vader. This isn't a paid position. There's no stipend associated with it. So it is perfectly legal, this process. So I don't think that's something that we should be excessively concerned about. But that's my response to it. Council can take that under future advisement if you'd like.
Well, I'd like to nominate Leona.
Okay, you make a motion to that effect?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Leona Hunter.
Well, okay, you've heard a motion submitted by Mr. Shy to...
No,
Mr.
Parsons.
Mr. Shy.
It's all right, my mom does it too.
She calls you Mr. Shy?
I know you weren't
She calls
shy.
me everybody's name, besides my own.
Okay, well then Mr. Parsons has submitted a motion to approve Leona Sander Hunter to fill the vacancy created at the resignation of Ruth Creer. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'd second that.
Okay, we've got a second by Mr. Daly. Okay, but now is an opportunity to engage in additional commentary, if you'd like, before the matter is put to a vote. Hearing none, let's put it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
I didn't hear Mr. Wilson, did he?
Did you vote?
no, I abstain.
Okay, so the silence connotes abstention. So nonetheless, it was 3 votes in favor and 1 abstention, so that motion is carried. Well, that was a whole lot less dramatic than I anticipated. So we have Leona present with us at the moment. So I think it's appropriate to give her a round of applause. Well, wonderful. And it's also appropriate, in as much as the voting was obvious in its outcome, that we proceed, if you don't mind, we would swear you in at this moment and invite you to take a seat on the council. Okay. Well, we have the confirmation
Let me go grab
form.
my phone for a camera
Okay.
and for a picture. I didn't think about
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
It wasn't just me.
Making sure I was muted.
What's that?
Just making sure mine was off.
My phone never
After he
rings.
did it, I was like,
I usually do it in the car. So.
Well, Leona, while she's getting the camera, if you want to come forward here.
I'd have dressed better if I'd have known.
Oh, we can have a retake if you like. Okay. In fact, yeah, here you go, Jill. Okay, so if you would not mind raising your right hand and then repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Leona Sandra Hunter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the state of Washington
and the laws of the state of Washington
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America,
and the laws of the United States of America,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially perform
and partially
and
perform.
impartially
perform.
and discharge the duties
And discharge the duties
of the City Council
of the City Council
of the City of Vader, Washington,
of the City of Vader, Washington,
according to law
according to law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Wait,
There we
pause
go.
clap.
Freeze frame.
There you are.
There's your chair. Mhm.
If you can stay after council meeting, we'll engage in your signing and
Yes.
officially.
I'm gonna sign it first.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. We should have a nice warm coat on.
Sorry, I forgot to get the room on.
Yeah, it's chilly today.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Fresh and, no, I was going to say a much better appearing member of the council than some of us. With that, let's proceed now with our second agenda item, which is an update on the stormwater drainage on 7th Street, which, of course, is the Annan Road Challenge. And I put it right there.
Sorry, I wanted to give her her packet so she could really see
Oh,
what
of course.
some of the stuff is up
There you
there.
go. Yeah, so, so Leona, this topic has to do with the drainage challenge that is impacting our one business we have in our community, and that's the Little Crane Restaurant. It's owned by a member of our council, ironically enough. And we think it has to do with the collapsed water, surface water drainage pipe. So we've engaged in an effort to video inside of that pipe to see if there is in fact any damage to it, so we can consider some solution to the problem. And the council's approved us to contract the services of the Public Works employee out of the city of Winlock. And we're just waiting for the weather to improve so that it's not, the conditions are more acceptable for it. And we've had opportunities this week, but he's been on vacation all week. So we're kind of stymied. And so the latest nutshell report is that he'll be back and available next week. And so as soon as we get a day break in the rain, he said he would come. So that's where.
Yeah, the one day was right before his vacation
Yeah.
started, the day before,
Yeah,
so
it
he
was.
had too many things going on.
And that's unfortunate.
Will that correct the whole potholes and stuff? Is that what?
Hopefully it'll decrease the amount of water running across the road, which will decrease the amount of splash out and
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
make that road easier.
Yes. Okay, so with that, stay tuned. We'll keep it on the agenda for future meetings to keep you advised. Item number 3, council to discuss options for vehicle weight limit regulations. This has been on the agenda for some time now, but in as much as we have a full quorum, I would invite the council to deliberate, hopefully as quickly as possible, because my head is hitting up against a time constraint here on this agenda item.
So I'm the one that brought this one up, and I think that for residents to get a load of gravel or cement or anything to upgrade the city and upgrade their properties, to go through that weight limit for that is just too low. And I don't have, I'm sorry, but I don't have any solutions, rather than it's not, I don't think that it was intended for the residents. It's more for a logging corporation or something like that, because that's what.
Unfortunately, I don't think our roads are really built really tough. So I think that's what, this is just kind of trying to keep our roads from being torn up by.
Well, even roads that are built well in some of the bigger cities and stuff, they are affected by numerous overweight vehicles, you know, and so, yes, it would affect ours even more. And I asked the attorney about this particular issue, and she said, you guys are welcome to make whatever changes you want. Just remember that the spirit of this ordinance is to protect the city and make sure that any kind of work or business that's doing stuff in the city that affects the streets, that's what this ordinance is supposed to help us with, to make sure that they either repair it or provide us with financial reimbursement.
So what is a permit for, say, a dump truck load of gravel?
Well, I didn't bring that.
This is the cost.
I don't know what the
Just
weight
curious.
of a dump truckload of gravel is. It's, the fees are based on the weight of the vehicle and how much poundage is on each axle or whatever. We looked at that, didn't we? Didn't you and I look at that?
I didn't look at it for a load of gravel. I did look into it for, I had a bunch of trees fell, and I was going to have a self-loader come in and load up those trees and take them off. And that was right in the $800 mark. And the part that was the issue for me was the time frame, because it wasn't like, okay, I dropped these trees, now I can next weekend have the guy come over and pick them up. You had to have an engineer come out and look at the streets, and you had to. There's a lot.
There's a process involved.
A huge process to get that done. I ended up just bringing the mill to my property and doing it on my property, but that for the truck itself is 30,000 pounds. The self-loading logging truck, it weighs 30,000 pounds empty. So.
So one of the things that the city attorney recommended is that you could add or kind of separate out a single use type situation where someone has a one-time activity like that, so that residents can do that if it's a single use within, as long as they don't do it repeatedly within a short amount of time or something like that, you could either do a no fee, or you could break it down and say, if it's for repair and maintenance of someone's home and they need to get supplies brought in or something, then you could break it down into different sections and say, okay, it's a one-time, I'm getting a load of gravel. Okay, that doesn't cost you anything, but you need to let the city know that you're doing it so that we're aware. And then if it's somebody saying, well, I'm doing a big project and I need 3 loads of lumber to come in, well, that might be, $25, and you need to let the city know what's going on. But they wouldn't have to go through all of the same things that a logging truck company who's, doing 30 loads or, over a week or whatever, that's going to have a huge impact. These single things wouldn't have a huge impact.
Did she mention that chapter 11 or 12, that the sign needs to be on every road?
Council has addressed that and had decided last year. Yes, we talked about signage, and they decided last year that they just wanted to have signs at the different locations where people come in and out of the city. And so we do have signs up.
Yeah, I
And
noticed
so-
those signs up, but
They're not where council wants them all to be. We haven't accomplished that yet, but
because I don't have it here,
it
but
says that the signage
Did
needs
you
to
do
be.
F Street?
what's that?
You do F Street? Somebody that seemed to put some gravel on it.
I did. Yep.
Because that's your street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and a lot of people drive down it, so I'm thinking about putting a gate up.
I drive on it too.
Toll booth.
Yeah,
Toll booth.
thinking about putting a gate there.
So you got, basically, Jennifer just needs to know what you guys want it to look like. You know, what kind of changes, do you want to make changes to it, first of all? And if you do, what those look like, and she can draft up the language, and she just needs direction from you as to what you want it to look like. She says, you guys need to decide that. You know, what kind of special accommodations or changes would you like to see, and she can do that.
Okay. Because it does sound like you were saying, having the one-time pass or things like that is something that needs to be put in here for future.
Yeah,
But-
something needs to get
Yeah.
done with it, because if somebody wants to build a house in town, there's going to be fees to,
Well, there's gonna be fees.
there's going to be fees already,
There's
yes.
Several dump trucks and several
Yeah.
concrete trucks, yeah,
Yeah.
there's gonna be fees for them, but for just general, you know, like,
One time.
yeah, need to,
I have to tell you, the years that this has been under deliberation, and you know that it was signed by me in April of 2014, 3 years ago. To be candid with you, I'm startled that it wasn't built into that, because the council members over the years have not wanted to penalize individuals for the one-time use.
bettering their property.
So-
or-
Yeah.
I was frankly startled to discern that that wasn't in
Well,
there.
I think we just didn't realize where the weight limits hit, you know, and so maybe it's in the fee structure that the change needs to happen, because that's where the weight, well, it says, no, because it says in the ordinance that the 30,000 pounds, so I think maybe nobody realized that
Well,
a truckload of gravel is more than
maybe I was
30,000
missing
pounds.
something.
I don't know.
how it-
The load's 30,000 pounds, let alone the truck.
Yeah,
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
You have one on here, Annan Road. The city does not own any part of Annan Road,
that's
period.
not true.
No,
We own the
do.
northern part of Annanen Road.
Yeah, we do.
You what?
We have the northern part of Annanen Road up by McMurphy Park. That is the city's road.
Well, since when did this change?
It's
Because
not,
So, yeah, but that's not a topic tonight. It
when it's
is,
on here,
but because the city owns Annan Road, 200 feet north of the Little Crane Restaurant, past the water bottles. But we own that. So, but that's not the debate. We're dealing with this
all I
ordinance.
know is what the state highway, I mean,
No,
Yeah, we,
the highway came in there and
30,000
That's all.
pounds.
Okay. So,
I don't get that, so we can get the.
excuse me, Bob.
What do we-
Hey, Bob, we don't invite comments from the audience because it's disruptive to the council commentary. Sorry. I have to moderate the meeting.
So do we just need to have someone figure out all the single-use weights that we can think of, and is that the next course of action then?
I would think so.
Okay.
Do you want to task the city administration to engage in that research? Okay,
Sure.
I think we would embrace that. Happily, very happy.
I would love to. But I am gonna need some direction from you guys as to what, you know, somebody's gonna have to tell me what you want me to find out.
I may be, maybe I'm overstating or overly concerned, but I think if there was a member of the council who raised the issue because of a situation that you had, you might want to consider
Volunteer.
recusing yourself from when the
Oh,
final
that would be
discussion takes place.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean that you can't provide input and commentary and assistance with the research of it, I think. So, but I prefer to err on the side of caution, and we can talk to our city attorney about that.
Perfect.
Anyway, so do we need that in the form of a motion?
I think all we need I don't know, we just need to table it till the next,
Till we have the wording right.
yeah,
Okay.
till we know what we want to do.
So I see a general consensus amongst council that you'd prefer to table this and continue the discussion when we've got additional research available for you.
Perfect.
Okay, I see a head nod here. Are
Yes.
Andy, are you willing to table this?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a quorum. So that is what we'll do. Thank you for your input on that. Let's proceed now with item number 4. Council to consider the resolution 08-2017, the Department of Commerce grant agreement. Should be in your packet. Would invite the council to deliberate on that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 08-2017, authorizing the mayor to execute the Department of Commerce grant agreement for the GMA update substantially as written.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much. We've heard that motion to approve this resolution as read.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Leach. Any additional discussion? You know, this has to do with $5,000 grant to help pay for our comprehensive plan submitted in 2018. Okay, then let's put it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that was, the voting was unanimous and motion is carried. Last item, council to consider resolution 09-2017, the consultant services agreement with Jackson Civil Engineering for the TIB Street project. You'll recall in the last meeting you approved, you accepted the services of Jackson Civil Engineering, and they've prepared now, as you'll note in the document.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the resolution 09-2017, authorizing the mayor to execute the consultant services agreement with Jackson Civil Engineering substantially as written.
Okay, we've heard the motion submitted by Mr. Daly to approve this resolution as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a second. Mr. Parsons. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion is carried, and I commend council for that rapid action. Fantastic. We're off and running. And with that, we've concluded our agenda. And I would declare this council meeting adjourned at 6:58 p.m.